It was a battle with Louisville, and I think we're very fortunate to end up being the winner of that battle and have Peter in camp.
How excited is the organization to add a player of Mitch Voit's caliber to the mix?
Stoked. Kind of took off this year with the bat, ended up having more walks than Ks, really cut down on his chase, and he's just a special character.
And then another guy that seems like fits this mold that you guys are looking at is Antonio Jimenez, of going after guys who have high athletic ability.
The first step quickness at shortstop stood out with him. He's a dynamic playmaker at the position. We think he can play there. We think he can impact the ball at the plate, and we're excited about his future.
Peter Kussow, the first high schooler you guys took, signed him away from his commitment to Louisville.
The innate strikes he shows right now, the dynamic breaking ball. It was a battle with Louisville, and I think we're very fortunate to end up being the winner of that battle and have Peter in camp.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi, that's Jonathan Barron, and today we are joined by the VP of Amateur Scouting, Kris Gross. The only other time we've gotten to talk to you was in front of a whole crowd at Amazing Day with Ryan Clifford and Drew Gilbert, but now a little more intimate right after the 2025 draft. And you know what? Just an easy way to start it off, looking at the 2025 draft. Obviously, you're going to be a little bit biased, but how would you yourself grade the Mets 2025 draft?
The old post-draft grades. Always tough to do right after the draft,
Of
but
course.
we were very excited how it played out. Getting Mitch Voit, they were picked 38, and saving a little bit of money with the signing bonus and allowing us to have some fun on day two and selecting some exciting high school talent and some more college guys. It turned out well. I'm excited about it.
One thing that we can all see off the jump, I know you kind of mentioned that grade drafts are tough to assess. I think that you really have to wait a few years to see the fruits of the labor. But the one thing we can say right now is that you guys have signed 18 of the 19 players drafted by the Mets in 2025. That is incredible efficiency. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, what do you think that says about your guys' philosophy going to the draft, and also the organization, the way it's perceived by young players that want to live out their big league goals?
Exactly. And it truly is a whole organization involved in the draft. So our department, obviously out there scouting the players, getting to know them, making the offers to get them into the system, but having a player development department with the reputation that we have. We're known for being able to get pitchers dialed up and producing fairly quickly. Our hitters as well. You can see some of the successes from previous drafts. And to get those guys going, our medical department was quick to turn around the physicals. So it really was everybody making sure we were lined up. So right when the draft was over and these guys committed, we were ready to get them down to Port St. Lucie and to see the doctors and quickly turn them around and get them out to draft camp this week.
Now, the next thing I'm about to say might coincide with the signability and you guys having so much success, but you guys drafted a lot of college kids, and that was the same case last year. And I wonder, is that a philosophy that an organization goes into a draft with? Obviously college kids, older, more seasoned, both on the field, media trained, whatever it might be, guys that could possibly help the major league club a little sooner or get to the upper levels of the minor league system, potentially be used in trades, things like that. Do you guys go into a draft thinking, yeah, we want guys that are more mature, closer to being major league ready? Or is it really draft by draft, who's on the board, how your money situation's folding out, and all those other factors that go into things?
Yeah, there's numerous factors going in. Obviously, one, just having a comfort level with some of these college guys who have gone out and competed at a slightly higher level than a lot of the high school guys, laid down 3 years worth of stats that you can kind of read into and analyze. And then the other factor is the high school guys typically, have a little more leverage, can go to college and improve their stock, can go to college and slightly decrease their stock. But either way, the price tags are usually higher for high school players, which with our hard slotting system that we are obligated to stay within, it makes it a little harder to sign numerous amount of high school guys. But this year, 5 out of 19 selections high school players, which is the highest, I think, in my tenure as a scouting director with Houston and the Mets have selected. So excited about the youth we injected into the system.
So I want to talk about the needle you threaded in this draft. I actually saw Joe DeMayo tweeted out at this point that I didn't even notice until that you guys were within $5 of the overage penalties.
Like a $5 bill. Like you valet your car, you take, what do I have? Got in my wallet, a $5 bill.
5 Cameron Maybins in 2021. But $5. How do you thread that needle, and when do you start realizing how close you're getting? And then there's always a factor of, oh, are we going to have to go a little higher on this player? Are we going to have to go a little lower on this player? So just the process of getting to that $5 needle that you just threaded.
Yeah, as you're going through the draft, you have an idea of what each player is going to cost, and then once you get down to the final couple of guys, like you really understand, okay, we have our pool plus the 5% overage that Mr. Cohen's allowed us to use fully every year, which is very nice of him. And basically we double check, quadruple check the numbers and make sure we are not going over, because the penalties are stiff. You will lose your two first-round picks the next 2 years. So you definitely don't want to go over. And so, yeah, we ran the math. We knew we were going to be close. We still saved $5 just to make sure we didn't exceed that. But
who got to use that $5 at Duncan?
We still got it. It could be you.
Framed up in the wall.
On the topic of college and the topic of money, I was just listening to you talk about signability and how high schoolers can be a little bit tougher.
Yep.
But there's one thing that you probably didn't have to experience earlier in your career, and that's NIL. And the way that that is changing the landscape of college sports. And we know that it's kind of becoming a bit of a minor league system now because guys are making money. It's not like, hey, this is my stepping stone to the pros, and then from the minors I go to the majors. How has NIL changed the whole entire MLB draft and amateur game? Because guys can profit by playing college baseball now.
Yeah, it's definitely thrown a wrench into the system, but one that we've adjusted to. You get your college players that kind of go in those middle rounds where your pool slots are very valuable, and if the player decides to take a different offer from a college who can compete with you pretty well now, it could really throw a wrench into your signing bonus in threading that $5 bill that we talked about. So, yeah, I mean, it's great. These kids are getting compensated for their worth in college, and some schools definitely are contenders with us in the draft. And
SEC schools, like these are big
SEC,
time programs.
even mid majors nowadays, they're investing in the baseball, which is great to see college baseball on the rise. It's a tremendous sport to watch, but it's something we have to double check with their advisors going into the draft, and how serious they are about possibly going back to school, or are they ready to enter professional baseball?
Now, is there also like a positive side to the NIL as well, where you're also getting some guys who are now a little more well-groomed, a little more prepared for kind of like the big league lifestyle, because you're getting guys who have had to be to these media events, had to do these interviews, and kind of like experience that pro ball lifestyle in college?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot more on a college player's plate than back when I was playing, or back 5-10 years ago even. So seeing how they manage their time, and it does assimilate like professional baseball a lot nowadays.
Let's talk about some of the guys you drafted. I know we briefly touched on Mitch Voit. We had a conversation with Mitch here last week. Very polished young man. From your guys' perspective, you get him at number 38. How excited is the organization to add a player of Mitch Voit's caliber to the mix?
Stoked. Kind of flew under the radar, pitching and hitting. Kind of took off this year with the bat. Ended up having more walks than Ks. Really cut down on his chase, and he's just a special character. Like we talked about, very polished. Family's great, and what he can do on the field with his athleticism, explosiveness. Somewhat new to second base. We're going to experiment with him on the infield, but the upside with Mitch, I think, is a little different compared to a lot of college players, just to some inexperience, but he showed us some special traits that we're excited about.
And then another guy that seems like fits this mold that you guys are looking at is Antonio Jimenez, of going after guys who have high athletic ability, similar to Mitch Voit, similar to guys we've seen drafted the past few years. Guys like in 2022, Jet Williams, like Nick Morbido, or like Colin Houck, these guys who are just highly athletic. How does he fit into that, and how important is the athleticism? Would you say that's like the number one thing you guys are looking at right now when it comes to a draft profile?
I don't know about the number one thing, but it's definitely high on the list. Guys that are special type of athletes tend to have ability to improve quicker than others, and they tend to show up on the big league field here. So what Antonio did, his strength seemed to greatly improve this year, impacted the baseball a little more, cut down on the Ks, and the first step quickness at shortstop stood out with him. He's a dynamic playmaker at the position. He's got a plus arm. So we think he can play there. We think he can impact the ball at the plate, and we're excited about his future.
Peter Kussow, the first high schooler you guys took signed him away from his commitment to Louisville. You talk about high schoolers and how they have a bit more leverage. Louisville, a great program, but you guys signed him up. How excited are you about adding Peter to the organization?
Very excited. He's a huge 6'5", shoulders out to here, 190 pounds with a big fastball and a very good slider. Changeup still a work in progress, but the innate strikes he shows right now, the dynamic breaking ball. It was a battle with Louisville, and I think we're very fortunate to end up being the winner of that battle and have Peter in camp.
Now, I feel like there's got to be for you guys a difficulty and a difference in evaluating how a position player is going to project and grow up versus a pitcher, especially at the high school level, right? Like, first of all, metal bats versus wood bats. Still using, I think, wood in a lot of areas in high school.
Summer showcase, we
showcase.
evaluate them with wood quite a bit, yeah.
Is there a big difference? Am I right in saying that projecting a pitcher in high school is more challenging than projecting a position player at the high school level, or is it kind of apples to apples?
There's a little more volatility with the pitching for sure. Injuries are a big part of pitching. You never know when that might occur, if it occurs, and just how, what kind of velo we're going to add to the package, how the breaking balls will transform over time. Because a lot of guys you draft nowadays, the stuff they come into the system with, it's going to evolve and change, even for college guys nowadays with the pitch shaping organizations can do. So, but yeah, we're excited what our player development can do with high school pitchers, getting them a little earlier and getting good habits instilled in them at a young age is going to be crucial and fun to watch.
So I want to skip to a round 6 pick, Nathan Hall. Nathan Hall, high school catcher, transition to a pitcher freshman year of college. Just talk about him and what went into that decision.
Yeah, he had an interesting story there, basically showing up in January and was asked to pitch and picked up the ball and started throwing 96 real quick. But it's a loose, electric, whippy arm that produces a lot of ride to his fastball. He pitched on one Hawkeye system that we had some data from Dakin Park, it's now called, there in Houston, and that combined with his ability to spin the baseball really jumped out, and the way he moves, the athleticism, it's a very exciting package, and we're excited when he gets healthy, see him on the mound here shortly.
All right, I'm going to go kind of off board here. Truman Pauley, Harvard guy, not Harvard Westlake, different Harvard, the Harvard Crimson. Talk about Truman, a great name by the way, and what stood out to him to you guys.
Yeah, got some starts there for the Crimson, and came to our workout here at Citi Field and really impressed with his personality and as well with obviously the stuff on the mound. He's low to mid 90s with a extremely hard late breaking, what we call death ball these days, and we're excited about the potential of him missing bats and potentially being a starter in our system.
Dylan Stiltner, round 18. Really good stuff. 1.48 ERA in his senior season, 80 strikeouts, 3-pitch mix. Also, I heard he was like, that one was a little bit more of a battle.
That it was. Another guy that came to our workout in Atlanta, but tested well on the force plates. We got to know the person, felt very comfortable with him. Really enjoyed the way he moved down the slope, filled the zone with his 3 pitches. The fastball had some life. And then, yes, the signing with him was tremendous. So, we have a scout that's worked in the Mets organization for roughly 35 years, Marlon McPhail, and he had a lot of admiration for the kid. We got him down to Florida. No agreement was in place yet. We showed him the facility. We had him meet with PD. We laid out a plan. Those guys did a tremendous job down there. We were able to come to agreement, and he's going to be down there in camp soon, and we're excited for his future.
Is it like interesting where the MLB draft is so different from the other ones, where it seems like the later round picks are the ones you kind of have to work more for? Those are the ones where you have to kind of go the extra mile for, because you're trying to take sometimes those overslot payments, trying to get guys out of high school. So is there this weird, more hardcore sense of recruiting when it comes to those later round picks?
Occasionally, it's really a case by case basis. You have an idea of what it might take for a lot of these kids to sign and not go to college or come out of college early. So having a feel for that, knowing your financial situation with how much pool money you have, and making the best decision on who to select and hopefully bring into the system.
What can you tell us about Payton Prescott, pitcher from Florida State University?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw his second to last outing, but they were playing Oregon State, and he was electric. It was fastball up to 99, I believe, that day. He's worked out of the Florida State bullpen primarily, got one start. The splitter's a ticket there. It's filthy. It falls off the table. It combats both left-handed and right-handed hitters. He's also got a pretty darn good slider, too. So we'll wait. We'll be patient with him. It's going to take some time for him to come back healthy since he pitched the next day and unfortunately blew out on the last day of the year. But we think he can start, and we're going to see where it goes.
What is that process like? So you work in scouting. You guys obviously are looking at these guys for many years ahead of draft day. You make your selections. You sign. You don't sign. Hopefully we sign. They're in the organization, and then they're handed off to PD.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's a big thing that a lot of fans may not realize is scouting and player development are two separate areas, and you guys are almost providing the ingredients, and then it's about making what you will as guys, are on their path, hopefully, to the major leagues. When it's a question of where does a guy start or what challenge do you think this guy might be ready for or not ready for, how much collaboration is there between scouting, who are the most familiar with these players, especially amateurs, guys who don't have household names necessarily yet, and player development who are going to try to mold the conveyor belt on the way to the show?
Yeah, I think it's different org to org. Some orgs can be fairly siloed and basically you scout a player and hand them off, and
that's not good.
Wish them the best. But over here, a lot of collaboration. We have a couple people that work in both departments to a degree, so we have a lot of insight on what's going on over there. We also will do Zoom meetings with both player development and scouting from time to time, so to get everybody on the same page. And this year we took it a step further. Our new person from the Yankees, David Adams, came in and suggested some of our scouts come back for draft camp, and 4 of our guys are down there right now, and they said they're absolutely enjoying it. The amount of detail that's going into the PD, what the kids are receiving now is tremendous. So I think it's great to see those scouts get a firsthand experience of what's going on and can share it with the rest of our staff, and we'll continue to have more scouts go down each year.
I want to ask you about Anthony Forboth, local kid from the New York area.
Yep.
It's always exciting when you see somebody from the area that could come up in the system. But tell
Nick
us
Roselli last year, right? Nick Roselli last year.
Yep. Who's hitting a little bit. Yeah, the local kids, they can sell some tickets here. And quite frankly, they're both very talented players. Anthony, I was fortunate enough to get a home game and see him. He had a little elbow trouble this spring, so he wasn't playing shortstop at the time, but he showed power at the dish. He went oppo double, and he actually came to our workout as well here at Citi Field and put on a decent little show with the BP with Wood for a young high school kid. So he runs. His arm was healthy by the time we got to our workout and was showing a solid arm at short. So he's athletic. He has actions. He's young, and we're excited about the future for him.
Can you take us into not just draft day, but the war room? I know the war room is this mythical thing. And in the NFL, we see some glimpses on draft night, the broadcast. Mm-hmm. And MLB's caught up a little bit with televising the draft and making it into an event the way that the NBA, NHL, and NFL do. But without giving away the trade secrets too much, what is going on in the war room on night one, especially, of the Major League Baseball draft?
So night one this year was a lot of waiting because we didn't pick till 38. So we have probably 35, 40 people down in Port St. Lucie. All of our area scouts come in, which I think is great, especially on day 2. But yeah, the draft started at 6 o'clock. We didn't pick till roughly 9 o'clock. So, we watched the 20 picks or so go off the board, and then we start to strategize a little bit. You might make a call here and there about what player X will want at pick 38. So we figure out some prices as it gets closer. The phone calls pick up. This year we saw a lot of names that we had pretty high on our list go fairly close to our pick right in front of us. So we had to kind of adjust on the fly. But all the while we had a soft spot for Mitch and was hoping he'd be there and be the guy, and it worked out.
Where are you guys catering from? Vito and I, we are big Port St. Lucie diners. The chicken place is our favorite spot. Well, maybe mine. Maybe I shouldn't speak for you.
It became a real staple.
The rotisserie chicken Latin place.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Done that.
Yeah, okay. You agree? It's great. One of the top
very
spots.
Good. Very good. Tudor fresco. We always do a night there.
Okay.
Where else do we do? The Postalio.
Yeah.
Pistachio.
Sorry.
Over in tradition.
Sorry. Yes.
It's all right,
I'm a
that's
tradition guy.
I told you. Yeah, we're
Tradition guy.
We're PSL foodies.
And it's growing down there. I mean,
heck
every
yeah.
time we go down, it's like 2 new restaurants. And that are
2 new
good.
restaurants, 4 new apartment complexes.
Yes. Yes. And I hear their apartments are great for our players this year, which is phenomenal. But those Taco Dive is a good spot as well.
The Greek place isn't bad.
Spiros?
Yeah.
Yes. We literally hit all these in the 8 days we were down there. So
Hibachi, you got to still get one night in there.
didn't do the hibachi.
Hibachi's tough. It's tough.
No, it's tough to go with people, but you got to. That's why you have to have
no,
your
but
secret
then you
rooms.
walk out of there, you're not feeling good. You're smelling like a hibachi restaurant, and then the next couple days, all that sodium is no good. But what do you guys cater the night of?
The
Like,
night
that's special
of
night.
they do a fantastic job with the food down there. So we did keep it in house.
Okay, got
because
it.
we have catered in those nights before. Sometimes the Italian food doesn't travel too well. Occasionally, the tacos, if you try that, will get a little soggy. So we just keep it nice and fresh down there. And they did steak and chicken. It was phenomenal. And then day 2, long day. It was about 12 hours we were there. So we just ordered 50 pizzas and nibbled on pizza all day.
So now that the draft is part of All-Star Weekend, I've talked to a lot of guys in baseball ops, and it's tough because it's obviously a lot earlier than it used to be.
Yeah.
But is there also the benefit of, like, in the long term, there's so much more interest and attention in the draft now, baking it into All-Star Weekend? How do you feel? Just how do you feel overall of the benefits of there's all this attention to it now, but now your schedule's been scrunched down an extra less than a month?
Yeah. The attention's good. The side effect of our summer after that has been the toughest. A lot of teams are scouting 2 draft classes at a time now to see, the college Team USA team. You have to do that before the draft. PG, all of our PG nationals now before the draft, which is a summer showcase where we get a look at a lot of the high schoolers. So, yes, it's made the timing a little bit more of a challenge where we basically used to have 6 to 7 weeks to scout next year's class. We're kind of condensing it down into 3, and the wives are not happy.
You talked about multiple classes at once, which is a great segue to taking a bit of a look back to your first draft class as a New York Met. That's the 2024 draft class. And, I said earlier that you kind of have to wait a couple years to really see the fruits of the labor and really give yourself a grade. I don't know if you want to give yourself a grade yet for the 2024 class. You can. I mean, it seems like a home run, to use a baseball term. What are your initial thoughts now that it's been a year and there's been a lot of trickle up from the guys you have implemented into the system and some guys that have really become top prospects, and not just the Met system, but baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say check with us in 2027 for an official grade.
Okay.
But very excited about what the class is doing, to see a handful of them in AA. Carson's obviously excelled since he's been in AA.
How cool is it to see
power.
how great he is? It's awesome to watch him every day.
It is, and he's kind of a special human being where just a little bit oblivious to everything, just focused on baseball, and to see him hit the way he's hitting and doing some things in right field and center field, great to see. And Santucci's up there with him now too. He's got off to a slow start, but turned it around and started getting a lot of guys out, which is great to see. Handful of others, Lambert's up in AA, and the young guys, Trey Snyder hanging out in the PSL and doing some things down there. So overall, we're excited about the class. It'll be fun to watch them the next couple of years, and hopefully banging on the door here at Citi Field before we know it.
So early in the season, I got the opportunity to go to Brooklyn for a Cyclones game in like April. It was terrible.
Must have been warm that night.
It was a day game. It was a 4 o'clock. It was like
the sun was out.
It was the day where it was pouring raining. It was even windier than a normal Cyclones game, but they won I think 18-3 or something, because that Brooklyn team is such a powerhouse this year. And one of the most exciting guys to watch was Eli Serrano.
Yeah. We were all in on Eli's back coming out of college. Thought he had a lot of bad luck, used a lot of the big part of the field. So we knew the power was in there. Credit to Eli for getting after it this offseason and putting on a lot of good weight to allow that power to flourish a little bit. He was really starting to hit his stride, and then rolled the ankle and missed a little bit of time. But good to see him back out there healthy, playing all 3 outfield spots. And I think the future's going to be bright for him as well.
Now, the 24 and 25 classes are the 2 that you can take credit for as a Met, but I'm sure there are guys that you scouted as a member of the Astros organization that the Mets wound up drafting that you have some perspective on. Are there some guys, especially 2022, 2023, that are still in the minors that you're really impressed by, that even with the Astros you had your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, living in Texas at the time, right up the street was Jet Williams, and to see what, I mean, Jet didn't miss in high school. Like, if he swung, chances are it's going to be hit and hit hard.
Was he missing the minors?
Not really. Yeah, it's impressive. And he also steals bases and hitting home runs now. So he's stood out. AJ Ewing's turned it on, which we were a little bit of a fan in Houston, but to see what he's done this year, I mean, the center field defense is tremendous. He's stealing bags at a crazy clip. So yeah, AJ, Nick Morabito's done some things where he was a guy we scouted pretty heavily in Houston as well. Didn't really know exactly what position he'd end up at, but to see him run around center field and making the plays he's doing out there is also great to see. So future's bright right now.
That's kind of what I was getting at there. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We talked about it. We talked about it on yesterday's episode. I think Tuesday's lineup, 7 of the 9 guys in the Mets starting lineup, homegrown, drafted or signed by the Mets, developed up to the major leagues. You talk about Juan Soto, who's 26 years old, who was only a few years older than some of the guys that are being drafted out of college right now. And then so much young talent in the minor leagues that are flourishing and getting closer and closer and closer to making impacts with the Mets. And it just feels like it's all coming together with the major league roster, the minor league, the recent infusion of talent that you guys just brought in. So like you said, I mean, you guys, you know better than anybody how exciting times are right now to be a member of this Mets organization.
Absolutely. And it's important to keep this train going because each year you need to hit on guys in the draft, and we're going to be, probably picking late every year,
which is a good thing,
which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Usually means we're doing all right. So, but to keep hitting on guys later in the draft, it's going to be crucial. It's always nice when you have homegrown talent coming through at the trade deadline up here to fill holes. So yeah, hopefully we can keep the Mets prospect pipeline pumping.
You brought up pipeline, so it's actually a perfect time to bring up the new pipeline rankings came up, I think, yesterday or the day before. BP put out top 50 all of baseball rankings the other day. Even though these are guys that have only been in the system for a year, it looks like you're getting a good amount of your guys in these lists. We saw Carson Benj on the BP, a lot of your guys in the top 30. When you talk to players, they all say they don't pay attention to it. It's just charts, it's numbers. But for you, there has to be a sense of honor and just kind of the plan is working out when you see these rankings.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I don't look at a ton of the post-draft rankings in the top 30s, but leading up to the draft, we scour those and try to get as much information as we can. But yes, to see these guys, appreciated throughout baseball is always a good thing, and to capitalize and get them to be impact big leaguers is obviously the biggest thing.
You mentioned earlier that ownership, affording you guys that little extra spending money, really goes a long way, and it's not something that every ownership group does necessarily. This ownership group, as it stands, how much have they helped you guys be able to do the best job you can, whether it's putting in the extra money into scouting, taking that trip to the most remote parts of the country, different parts of the world, really. The Mets just signed a player out of Italy for the first time. Being able to really do every single thing you can, turn over every stone to make sure you guys are finding the absolute best talent to inject this organization with.
It's such a difference maker. Just if you need something, like you said, if you need to make a far trip, if there's a data package we need, or if certain, we restructured our staff a little bit after 24 and brought a few new guys on, and the impact they're making throughout the organization. Hats off to Steve Cohen and what he allows us to do, because it's a luxury not every team has, and for us to have it, I do think we turn it into advantage for us and should produce a lot more major leaguers because of it.
So you also mentioned before that you talk to guys about the PD here. You have them talk to some of the staff. Mm-hmm. Do guys in this system, from knowing some of them already have teammates they played with that are already in the Mets system, guys know each other, have you seen an impact of guys in the system letting players in the draft and in that class know things are really good in this organization, you get treated a different level? Because we hear that it's all the way from the hotels that they get to go to, from the catering that they get, everything done with the New York Mets, all the way from the Dominican Academy all the way up to the major league roster, is done at such a higher level than a lot of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reputation we have right now, and these players obviously talk to each other, and agents are gaining awareness of what's going on, and I think it speaks a lot to the type of organization and ownership we have over here to spare no expense and give these kids what they need to flourish.
We know there are so many kids in the draft, and so I don't want to put you on the spot here too much, but I'm sure there is a story from some point in your career where there was a player you either really felt strongly about taking, maybe later in the draft, a guy that was a little bit off the beaten path that you felt strongly about, and maybe some of your colleagues didn't feel so strongly about, and you were either right or wrong, and you did or didn't make the pick. You have one of those stories where years later, where now you can actually give the grade, that 3-year grade window, which I think we've established here, without naming names, but I feel like there's got to be one where you're like, I knew it.
Yes, definitely. And he was a little early in my scouting career, but there's a high school left-handed pitcher that we really liked in Southern California. And
when did you start your career? No, I'm trying to
I started in 2009 as a full-time guy in the upper Midwest with the Cardinals.
Okay.
So I did work as a bird dog, as a part-timer for 3 years before that, which basically working for free, having another job, trying to get in the industry. It's not easy to get into, but yes, 2009 went full-time with the Cardinals, spent 3 years there as an area scout, then became the West Coast cross-checker with the Astros. And this
2011 World Series champion right here.
Didn't think about that.
This is the time where we found this. Well, we didn't find him. He was well known, but his spring was a little bit up and down. The velo wasn't great, but this kid was a football player. He was a no nonsense type of guy with really good changeup and breaking ball that we thought he could combat both types of hitters. We take him in the 11th round. He signs for a decent amount of money. Was slated to go to Vanderbilt. Sorry, Ty. And we were able to lure him out of there. And quickly, the velo came on. Sadly, we traded him to a division rival where he ended up doing pretty good for the Angels. And but yeah, I mean, he just the way he went about his business, you knew like this kid wanted it really bad, and we thought he had the pitches to translate into professional baseball. He just needed a little bit of time, and it worked out, and he did quite well.
I'm sitting here trying to think. I'm not going to name the name, but we can talk about it off camera when we're all said and done.
I think people will be able to put that together.
If you figure it out, comment below. Engagement. All right, Kris, thank you so much for taking the time with us. And lastly, how much less stressed are you right now that the draft is passed? Do you have a few weeks of just being able to relax a little?
Now that we pretty much finished up the class, got them all signed and out playing, we got a little bit of time before the high school crop starts August 1st, East Coast Pro, and then area code. So it's going to be about 12 days of scout next year's batch. And a lot of our guys are already out in Cape Cod watching the college guys right now. So, but yeah, we're hunting 26s right now.
What's your favorite part of the Cape? What's your favorite Cape Town?
Cape Town?
Yeah. I've been thinking about taking a trip. I'm not that educated on it. I've never been.
Oh, you got to get up there.
This is the third year in a row you've been saying you're going to Cape Cod and you've been asking for advice.
I know. Well, maybe Kris can finally be the...
You got about 3 weeks left. You should get up there.
A lot of sharks, I hear. A lot of sharks.
Well, don't get in the water. You don't have to. Okay. You'll be all right. A lot of good lobster rolls if you're a fan.
Yes.
And then like Harwich, which is kind of right in the middle. I think it's just small town, all-America baseball. You sit at the field, you put out your lawn chairs, and you watch some pretty good baseball. And you wrapped up by 9 o'clock and go cook out at your Airbnb, Cape House, whatever you got, and have a night.
And you know what? You know where the perfect place to buy a grill is?
You know the answer, Kris. We talked about it before we started. You passed it on the way here.
Probably PC Richards and Sons. I hear they do great things over there.
They don't do great things. They've got the best staff, the friendliest staff, the most knowledgeable staff, and the absolute lowest prices. They'll price match anything.
Yeah, so even Amazon.
If the other guy has a Weber and you got your eye on a Weber grill, they got you.
And they'll set it up.
They'll set it up. It'll be delivered plugged in. I mean, I know we're trying to sell you here, but we're not lying. The listeners know. We've been telling them for the last couple months. You guys got to check it out, whatever it is. TVs, mattresses, appliances, AirPods, all those trips to remote cities when you're scouting, whatever it might be. PC Richard & Son has it, and they've been doing it for the longest in the game, 1909. I mean, were they even scouting in 1909? And some
Probably a little bit.
Someone found Babe Ruth eventually,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So,
in an orphanage.
Whatever it is, that's
a fact.
Okay.
It's not made up. It's a thing.
No, I know. It's good.
It's documented. Come on.
It's documented. Anyway, PC Richard & Son, check them out. Kris, thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Comment below. Who was the player Kris was talking about? You guys know. We'll see you next time at the Apple.